In this year's midterms, there has been a large focus on the battle for control of the U.S. House and Senate. We talk about it all the time. But it's Democratic governors who are serving on the front lines of the fights against President Trump's agenda. They actually have power to do something. According to the Cook Political Report, some of the most competitive governors' races in the country are taking shape in Arizona, Iowa, Georgia, Nevada, and Wisconsin. One problem for Republicans ahead of Election Day: Trump doesn't exactly seem enthusiastic about visiting those states. Here he is in Wisconsin on Friday.
I don't need this. I got elected. I don't have. What the hell do I have to be here for? I got elected. I'm here because I like the farmer. I mean, when you think about it, I guess there's a lot of truth to that, right? I could be home right now in the beautiful White House watching somebody else on television talking.
Joining us now is a candidate for governor in one of those states, former Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining us. I want to also play something else from President Trump's appearance on Friday with these farmers talking about fertilizer. Listen to this.
Your fertilizer prices are going to go way down, just like they were 4 months ago. Your fertilizer's down, your energy's down, your oil, your gas is all coming way down. We're also helping bring down grocery prices for hardworking Americans, and they're coming down very rapidly. Remember, I inherited these prices. I didn't start. My prices were great.
In the president's view, everything's coming down very rapidly. I don't think that the facts bear that out just yet. Does gaslighting work in Wisconsin?
Well, thanks again for having me. And I'm just going to say that why do we have to wait for prices to go down? And for the president to say that he inherited, he's been in office for a year and a half now. He drove these prices up with illegal wars of choice, bombing Iran, invading other countries, also the illegal trade war that he got us in. And to tell somebody that they have to wait a few more weeks for prices to go down, let me tell you, there has been permanent harm and permanent damage done to small business owners, permanent damage to family farmers and consumers also, who have had to pay the increased cost due to Donald Trump's poor decision making. Now, to that point, with gas prices still up at historic highs, people have had to put off vacations for the Memorial Day weekend that we had just a little while ago. People are making very difficult decisions about what they can and can't do with their summer vacation. You know who that impacts? Small businesses. It impacts tourism. A state like Wisconsin is already dealing with the worst of this Donald Trump presidency, and there's not much more we can take.
Lieutenant Governor, you are running for the nomination for governor. You have run for statewide office multiple times. I am wondering, what is the mood of the Wisconsin electorate? How has it changed over the years? And do you think that because the president he beat Vice President Harris in the state in the 2024 election. Do you think the mood in Wisconsin has shifted such that if you win the nomination on Tuesday, that you will then be able to take that and become the next governor?
So I'll tell you, this moment feels much
August.
like it did in August 11th, a little bit of ways ago. But I will say that this moment reminds me of 2018 when Donald Trump had his first tour as president. And people dealt with the devastating impacts of that presidency then. And what people are looking for now is somebody who's going to provide that immediate relief to, one, stand up to Donald Trump when he's causing harm, but also bring down costs as soon as possible by expanding health care, by making sure that our small businesses have the resources they need to weather these storms, and by doing everything we possibly can to create good paying, lasting jobs in a state like Wisconsin. We led with our values. We led with our vision. Of course, Donald Trump had done a disservice, but people needed to know who we were as Democrats, and people had to be confident that we were going to fight to improve quality of life. And I've taken on the tough fights before. Sometimes you come out on either side of that coin. And I'm fortunate to have had the progress that we made when I was was in office standing up to Donald Trump. That people all across Wisconsin know exactly how I will stand up and continue to fight for them to make things better, to improve our public schools, to improve our roads and bridges, and ultimately get more money back into the pockets of hardworking people by holding the wealthy and the elite accountable, by taxing the billionaires and ensuring that all of the services that have been lacking in a state like Wisconsin, which has been the case all across the country, we're going to make sure that we turn that whole broken system upside down and make sure that the same union households like the one that I was born in can be able to put food on the table, to make sure that people can go to a doctor and not worry about a surprise bill. That's what this fight is about. And Donald Trump has been against it every step of the way, along with Tom Tiffany, his handpicked candidate for governor of Wisconsin. People have had enough, and they're going to show up to the polls and make those concerns very loud and clear.
You know, I think Eugene mentioned this, that the president very narrowly won Wisconsin in 2024. What do you think is the single biggest issue that could turn some of those swing voters?
It's hard to say any single issue, but if there was an umbrella, I would have to say it's the cost of living. It's out of control. Cost of living feels like an issue, for a lot of different election cycles, but hasn't been as bad as it's been now. People's wages are not keeping up with inflation. People's wages are also not keeping up with greed, because there is a level of price gouging involved. And I want to talk about that, too, because with gas prices that are going up because of the illegal war in Iran, we also see these oil and gas companies making record profits. And that is what we are fighting against. We're fighting against those monopolies that have made it difficult for our family farmers to compete and have pushed out small businesses. So the one thing that would tip the scales is a continued escalation of costs here in Wisconsin or all across the country. But as I mentioned earlier, some of those impacts have already been felt. Many of those impacts have already been felt, but some of them are permanent. There has been irreversible damage. People may never recover from some of Donald Trump's poor narcissistic decision making. And for anybody like a Tom Tiffany, who's currently serving in Congress, who is using every moment that he has where he could be helping out people in Wisconsin, but instead doing the bidding of an out of control president who seems to be out of his mind, cognitively not there. And we are having to deal with that impact and the results. And it's just not fair. It's not fair. People have had enough. And it is a shame that this man is actually still president right now.
Former Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, whose primary is not until August 11th. I want to clear up that mistake I made. Thank you very much for coming back to the weekend.
Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to coming back.